some of my experience as well. We have a PhD program, and even if our mentor said was okay, he said it's okay with our qualification for AQ, like 2 articles in peer-reviewed journals every 5 years. We were challenged by our peer review team. Do you think this is, they said, do you think this is sufficient when you have a PhD program? And another good thing about this process is that, especially in Asia, senior professors tend to monopolize graduate courses regardless of their output. But we can sell this accreditation to prevent them from teaching graduate courses. So it helps.
That's a very important point. The question was raised earlier about how do you manage or convince faculty to do some things. As you define the criteria to be eligible to teach different courses. In my case, I had a full professor, PhD at the University of Notre Dame, had not published in 20 years, was accustomed to teaching graduate courses, had his schedule he loved. We developed the criteria. When he demonstrated he didn't meet the currency of his AQ, he was pulled from those classes. And in his case, he chose to retire, which was really good. Because he was overpaid and underworked, and I could use the money for something else. But that also influenced others to adjust their schedules. Now, that may or may not be something you can do, but it was something we could do in my school. In ours, we also recognize the qualifications for courses. Then you have to teach more courses. And if you are not qualified to teach undergraduate courses, then you teach more courses in the summer for no extra pay. I only had to do that one time in 8 years. But that was, something that we could do. Every school has their own unique environment. One school that I'm a mentor to had multiple locations, didn't know how they were going to address what we call deployment, have enough AQ faculty and so forth. He will have to add a few more faculty, but he also began to, I call it rationalize the curriculum. And I have a supply chain background, so when you deal with inventories, or what he did is starting to rationalize the curriculum and then adjust the schedule of that so that they could deploy the faculty they had to meet the percentage requirements, reduce the number of sections for some, maybe once a year instead of twice a year, things like that. But the bottom line is they can meet the deployment with fewer faculty than they thought they could. So there's a management part to it. One more thing on strategy. 2 weeks ago, I found out that I had 27 faculty. One resigned, one discovered leukemia and is now in Houston undergoing treatment, and the third asked for a leave of absence because of a family illness in Chicago. Met with my team, went through the process like Joe was talking about, the strategic planning. What's our layout? What do we need? Define how we could reallocate the faculty we had. So we had options as to what kind of credentials were our options. Now I was very fortunate. At 12:30 we finished the design, and at 2:30 we had the people signed on contract. But that's only because I'm Irish and I'm lucky. I don't know. But it was very valuable to be able to just fill in the blanks and know these are what we could do and meet our standards.
I noticed, of course, looking at your statistics, that there are many, many more members of AACSB than there are accredited schools. So I was curious, what is the benefit of being a member, even if you're not accredited, and whether or not the only point of membership is to eventually seek accreditation?
Well, I can answer, but everybody else here is a member also. But first of all, there's about close to 600 accredited schools, so 50% of our membership is accredited. But actually, there's 200 in process. So you've got, so really, it's 800 schools are in the accredited or in the process. So that leaves about 400. Okay. Now, there must be a reason, right, why people join and stay a member. We certainly have people who are members who are anticipating accreditation. I think certainly in this region that is the focus. But there are others that do join and want to be members that feel, belonging to this network has value. We do not allow them to use the seal. There's really nothing they can do if they're a member to show that they're a member on their website or anything. So, in your packet, in the packet I gave you, and just as an aside, if there's about 4 or 5 people from one school and they took 4 or 5 packets, there's some people over here that didn't get any packets at all. So if anybody's willing to give one up, it would be very nice. But anyway, in the front sheet here is a thing of membership benefits. But I still believe the best thing is the network that you join. Because although there's the exchange, the electronic exchange, that if you have questions, if you have any issues about curriculum, you send an email and you will get people talking to you. So there is a network, electronic network. There's also affinity groups, and I don't know if any of you belong to affinity groups, so maybe you could describe them later. But we have about 16 affinity groups. These might be urban schools, denominational schools, they might be MBA schools, MBA type schools. So there's different affinity groups. Small schools, large schools, private schools, so on. You can join those also, and then you talk about common issues, common problems. Of course, you get membership benefits for all the seminars that we offer. You get cheaper enrollments and all that kind of stuff. So there's quite a lot of things that the member gets. By the way, there's a new, there's going to be a new best practices, how can I, process, how can I explain it? An opportunity for you to look for best practices in certain areas. That website, that is just being developed, and that will be members only. So if you want to look at best practice with respect to fundraising, say, or something, you can find schools that have been noted when the team visited them. And that is now being developed, and I think will be released fairly soon. So that's another good membership benefit. And I think, but everybody else maybe on the panel could add their 2 pence.